Sir, and all the important members involved in this important symposia. Since yesterday, I have been listening only maternal and neonatal research. Means as a regulator, it's very tough. But yes, my receptors are now very active. Now I am targeting this maternal and neonatal research is the target. If I club my receptors with that, we can facilitate accordingly. So as a regulator, it is most challenging job, sir. Thank you very much for giving me the important inputs, Chairman, sir. But definitely, I'll put my effort. Only 12 minutes I will take because now I am having less time. So very good evening to everyone and all important international speakers, particularly Dr. Richard is here. So he is the encyclopedia of all important research activities I can understand. But definitely, we'll put our efforts to expedite all your pendency applications pending at our office, that is CDSCO, National Regulatory Authority. Thank you one and all. So I would like to give the importance of the clinical trial activities, what is the procedure and methodology involved in the expediting the review process, and what are the current regulations and amendments during last 2 years with regard to clinical research in India. If you can see, just before going into the details of the clinical research approval, and I would like to give the importance of the organization and evaluation of the drug legislation and introduction to Ministry of Health and Family Welfare and legal provisions for regulation of the clinical trials and the regulations of clinical trials and importance of Schedule Y, which is one of the important schedule, takes care of the clinical trial related issues, including the important responsibilities of sponsor, investigator, and important functions of Institutional Ethics Board. We are having separate ICMR guidelines to take care of the roles and responsibility of ethics committee member, how they are reviewing with regard to the approval of protocol and how effectively they are reviewing. So these are all important questions as a regulator we have to see. But ultimately, yes, Madam has given the clear, important, clear-cut principle that yes, as a regulator, as an investigator, as a sponsor, we have to take care of their important, we have to protect their rights, and also we have to take care of the well-being of the subjects involved in various clinical trials. But as a head of the biological division, I am looking after all important biosimilar products, then vaccines and sera, blood products and stem cells. 2 days back, if you can see, Government of India issued the important new regulatory path for approval of biosimilar products. But as on date, whoever makes application for the import registration or marketing authorization in India, they have to go through the important rule of Rule 122E of Drug and Cosmetic Act. All vaccines, all important stem cells, biotherapeutic products called as so-called biologics and biosimilar products. We are all treating, including new chemical entities, we are all treating as a new drug. So which attracts the definition of the new drug, that is Rule 122E of Drugs and Cosmetic Act. So this is the general principle I am giving. But yes, as a regulator, what are our important principles? What are our important rules and regulations which takes care of the Schedule Y? And what are the recent amendments took place as per the directions of Supreme Court of India, and how we have been taking care, what are the important differences, and how we can go for that. So that we'll discuss in detail. So based on the important 7th schedule, the Constitution describes 3 important items: union list, state list, and concurrent list. And some items like public health, hospitals, sanitation, etc. fall under the state list. But the items having the wider ramification at the national level, like family welfare, population control, medical education, prevention of food adulteration, quality control in manufacturing, sale, distribution of drugs, cosmetic and medical devices, have been included in the concurrent list. So this is the overview of the health infrastructure in India. So drugs falls under the important list of our Indian Constitution. Therefore, we are controlling at the national level. So I am from the National Regulatory Authority. So under that Act is Central Act, and we are the main job is we have to take care of uniform implementation of various provisions of Drugs and Cosmetic Act across the country. That is one of our major and important objective of National Drug Regulatory Authority, that is CDSCO, headed by Drugs Control General India. And evaluation of Indian drug legislation, if you can see, the main preamble is to regulate manufacturing, sale, distribution and import of drugs cosmetics, biological products, and some 21 important sterile medical devices notified by Government of India. So this is one of the important preamble as far as evaluation of Indian drug legislation concerned. But if you can see, the objective is ultimately the main objective of DNC Act is to ensure that whatever drugs are being supplied by the manufacturer, it has to meet the safety, efficacy, and all important purity, strength, and identity of different formulations moving in international commerce according to Section 3B of Drugs and Cosmetic Act. The basic philosophy is, if you can see, the manufacturer is ultimately responsible for quality of drugs manufactured by them, and the government and the regulatory agencies will monitor the quality of drugs by periodic inspections of the manufacturing and sale premises for confirmation to the various provisions of Drugs and Cosmetic Act enacted in the year 1940, rules made under in the year 1945 to take care of the monitoring quality of drugs moving in the indigenous market as well as international market by carrying out post-marketing surveillance. So this is one of the important basic philosophy as far as DNC Act is concerned. The principle is ultimately DNC Act function is by a system of licensing under which all the activities involved in the manufacturing, sale, and distribution of drugs are controlled to meet all important quality critical attributes. Ultimately, we have to safeguard the public health. So that is the important principle. And drug regulatory system in India, if you can see, drug is in the important concurrent list of Indian Constitution. Therefore, it is governed by both federal government as well as provincial government under the Drugs and Cosmetic Act 1940, friends. See, this is the Indian drug regulatory system. We are having various ministries. Everybody will confuse because whoever makes application at the national level, particularly new chemical entities, biotechnologically derived products, particularly RDNA products, those who want to go for the approval process for the biosimilar products, or new vaccines, or new chemical entity, or new investigational new drug. So these are all important. This is like a Bhagavad Gita in India, but for international speakers, I got this slide so that at least you can understand the palatability with respect to various ministries involved in this. But the present government, under the supervision of our Narendra Bhai Modi ji, he want to have a separate ministry. One ministry comes under all these activities so that one should not go and approach different ministries. So now present government is very serious to keep one separate ministry so that all these departments are going to handle under one platform so that it is very easy to the manufacturer and all the important traders. Whoever wants to go for the approval, they can get under the single window program, under the single ministry. So that's what things are going on, and active discussions are going on already. They have discussed in front of cabinet ministry, cabinet people also, but it will take some time. So that's what, this is the thing. If you can see, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, we comes under Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Under that, we are having Directorate General of Health Services, DGHS, headed by Dr. Jagdish Prasad, who is the DG. And under that, we are having a small drug section called as Central Drugs Standard Control Organization, headed by DCGI, that is CDSCO. Then if you can see, the Ministry of Science and Technology, those who want to go for the compliance of the ethical principles and whatever ethical guidelines prepared by the Indian Council of Medical Research, particularly with respect to clinical research activities, they have to refer this ICMR guideline. Then those who want to go for the radioactive material study, then they have to get the no objection certificate from this Department of Atomic Energy, that is Baba Atomic Research Center. Then Council for Scientific Industrial Research. And under Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizer, if you can see, we are having separate NPPA, which takes care of the important regulation for the pricing, fixation of the pricing of different formulations moving in indigenous market. And Department of Chemicals and Petrochemicals, we are having Department of Pharmaceuticals also. So these are all important differences. And Ministry of Environment and Forest, if you can see, those who want to go for the import of the clone, then they have to obtain the monitoring, because the genetic manipulation, the genetic regulations, we are having a separate committee, Apex committee falls under Ministry of Environment and Forest. Then they are issuing the NOC with regard to their import activities are concerned, whether it is safe or not, living organism, genetically modified organism, all this comes under that committee. They are issuing the NOC. Then that committee, that RCGM, Review Committee for Genetic Manipulation, Based on their scrutiny, if it is safe, then they will refer to the office of DCGI to give the further clearances. So these are all important things. I got it for all the medical students because people are having confusion. At least they can see what is the Apex Committee, what it stands, and what are the important functions with regard to various Apex Committees falls under different ministries. So that's what just I would like to give the important table. Then if you can see, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare consisting of 4 important areas: health and family welfare, and Department of Ayush, that is separate, everybody knows, health research, that is ICMR taking care, and AIDS control. CDSU is separate division, comes under DGHS, headed by DCGI, and public health is one of the major objectives of the Government of India. To achieve this, it is very important that whatever formulation biological products available in the market are available to the public, are to meet the important parameters like quality, safety, purity, efficacious, so that they can have the important desired pharmacological effects. The main functions of CDSU, if you can see, approval of new drugs and clinical trials, that is one of the important function of the National Regulatory Authority. Import, registration and licensing of all important, some specialized products as per the directives of the Honorable Supreme Court of India in the year 1989. We had one preliminary meeting to control with regard to the transmission of important contagious diseases and important other diseases like HIV, hepatitis B and syphilis, etc. Then we are having in the year February 22nd, 1991, all these important categories of drugs like blood banks, controlling all important IV fluids, vaccines and recombinant DNA products, and some medical devices falls under the Central License Approving Authority, CLAA, with close coordination with all state licensing authorities we are taking care. And amendment to DNC Act, banning of drugs, grant of test license, and testing of important new drugs for examination or testing and analysis purpose. So these are all important functions of DCGI, friends. Then these are the important functions of the State Licensing Authority, licensing of all manufacturing sites for drugs including active pharmaceutical ingredients, APIs, that is bulk drug, and also finished formulation, controlling by State Licensing Authority, that is State Drug Controller. Then licensing of important wholesale and retail outlets, sale and distribution of important drugs, and post-marketing surveillance, recall substandard drugs, whatever it is available in the market, they are enforcing. So if you can see the important legal provision for the regulation of clinical trials, requirements and guidelines schedule Y, if you can see, Rule 122 DA takes care of permission to conduct clinical trial in India. And Rule 122 DAA takes care of the definition of clinical trial. Rule 122 DAB takes care of the compensation in case of trial-related injury or death. Then Rule 122 DAC takes care of the condition of the clinical trial permission and inspection process. And Rule 122 DD takes care of the registration of the Ethics Committee. And Rule 122E ultimately takes care of the definition of new drug. So GCP guidelines enacted in the year 2001. So these are the important slides and important rules as per the rule Schedule Y, as per the Schedule Y requirements of Drugs and Cosmetic Act. If we see, everybody knows regulation for CT, Rule 122E takes care of the new drug. Because I am going little fast because time is very less, please pardon me. So if you can see a drug which has not been used in the country to any significant extent under the conditions prescribed, recommended in the labeling thereof, and has not been recognized as a safe and effective by CDSO. So this is one of the important definition of new drug. And also an already approved drug with modified or new claims, namely indications, dosage forms, and including route of administration, if any, then also considering as a new drug. Then fixed dose combination of already approved drug. All vaccines, recombinant derived products considering as a new drugs. A new drug is continued to be considered as a new drug for the period of 4 years. So this is law is very clear. This is very important definition according to Rule 122E. Then Rule 122DA, according to that, if you can see, that is the definition of the clinical trial, everybody knows, a systematic study of new drugs in human beings to generate the data for discovering and are verifying the clinical, pharmacological, including pharmacodynamics and pharmacokinetics takes care of the absorption, distribution, metabolism, and elimination rate, and are adverse events, if any, with the objective of determining the safety and or efficacy of new drug is called as clinical trial according to Rule 122 DAA. Then, no clinical trial for new drug shall be conducted without permission from the Office of DCGI. This is one of the very important mandatory requirement of the law. So one has to comply. And investigation new drug means a new chemical entity or product having therapeutic indication, but which have never been earlier tested on human beings is called as IND. Application for grant of permission to undertake clinical trial is to be submitted in Form 44. That is one of the important application, falls under the Drugs and Cosmetic Act, along with prescribed fees and the required documents. If they can submit, we can expedite. So that is the important thing. And clinical trials, everybody knows, 0 phase, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, and very low dose pharmacokinetic study to help in early drug candidate selection, so that no pre-phase people will go and reduces the failure relating to pharmacokinetic parameters in early drug development, and generally dose administered is less than 100 micrograms. So this is the sometimes people will go, that is a phase 0 a clinical trial, and phase 1 everybody knows, to estimate the safety and tolerability, may be conducted in healthy volunteers. If the drug is significantly toxic, the study is usually carried on patient to determine the maximum tolerated dose, that is MTD. Pharmacokinetics takes care of the pharmacodynamics, and important multiple ascending dose and single ascending dose studies, that also will take care with respect to phase 1 study, friends. Phase 2 is therapeutic exploratory trials to evaluate the effectiveness of the drug, to determine short-term side effects, dose finding study to determine the dose for phase 3 clinical trial, friends, and conducted on limited number of patients, where we can take care for phase 2 with regard to therapeutic exploratory trials. And phase 3 therapeutic confirmatory trials to confirm the evidence of safety and efficacy generated in phase 2, and to explore the use of drug in wider population in different stage of disease. Safety and efficacy of the drug in combination with other drugs is also gives the information with regard to phase 3. And phase 4, everybody knows, conducted after the drug approval in approved indication to determine additional drug interaction, if any, dose response, safety, to support the use of the drug under approved indication. So this is about the post-marketing trials. But ultimately, if you can see, everybody wants to have what is the fee structure, sir. If you want to make an application for phase 1, what is the fees? What is the fees? If you can see, 50,000 rupees we are charging for the phase 1, 25,000 rupees for the phase 2 clinical trial application, and 25,000 for the phase 3, and 50,000 for phase 3 for new drug approval. So this is the important thing. No fees is required to be paid by central and state government institute for clinical trial, for academic research, for academic or research purpose, because already ministry is in the process to have the important gazette notification shortly. Whatever the approved drugs already used for many years, how we have to go for that, because no people are having a lot of problems to approach the office of DCGS. So in order to facilitate the academic and research institute, and ministry is very serious, they want to issue the important notification as far as academic trials are concerned, to facilitate without having any NOC from the office of DCGI, sir. Then Schedule Y, if you can see, the requirements and guidelines for permission to import or manufacture of new drugs for sale or to undertake clinical trials. This is one of the important schedule. Y takes care of the Drug and Cosmetic Act. This is one of the important preamble of Schedule Y. If you can see the silent features of Schedule Y, concurrent phase clinical trials permitted. Phase 1 provides statutory support to Indian good clinical practices guidelines, stipulates responsibilities of ethics committee, investigators and sponsor, structure, contents and format for clinical trial protocols, report formats, ethical committee approvals, informed consent form, serious adverse events reporting, etc. are incorporated. These are the important and responsibilities of sponsor. So these are all important silent features of responsibilities of the sponsor, implementing and maintaining the quality assurance system to ensure that clinical trial is conducted as per the protocol and GCP guidelines as well as regulatory requirement. Already Madam has given, so Madam has covered, so I don't want to go in that. And responsibility of ethics committee also more or less same. Indian Council of Medical Research guidelines is very clear with regard to the institutional ethics committee, institutional review board, IRBs and IEC. Ultimately we have to take care of the protection and well-being of the subject, that is welfare of the subject according to the rules. So already Madam covered, so I don't want to go details into that. So these are all important appendix as per the Schedule Y requirements. And Appendix 1 takes care of the data to be submitted with application. Appendix 1A, data required for grant of permission to market, approved new drug. And Appendix 2, contents of clinical study reports. Appendix 3, animal toxicology. Appendix 4, animal pharmacology. Appendix 5, GCP guidelines. Expert committee set up by CDSO in consultation with clinical experts has developed GCP guidelines in 2001. These guidelines have been evolved with consideration of WHO Geneva, ICH countries, US FDA, CFR regulation and European GCP guidelines as well as ethical guidelines for biomedical research on human subjects issued by the Indian Council of Medical Research, available on www.cdso.nac.in. That is our website. You can go through that. And Indian GCP guidelines, these are all important requirements with regard to the sponsor, CRO, monitor and investigator friends. Then evaluation of the city application. They will submit in the pre-screening area, then goes to our important division, examination by the respective division. If it is a vaccine or if it is a biosimilar product, if it is a stem cell related product, then goes to the biological division. If it is a GCT, global clinical trial, then goes to global clinical division. And if it is a new drug, goes to new drug. We are having different divisions in CDSO. Then detailed review will be taken care. If it is IND, then we will refer to IND committee. If it is a genetically derived product, then we are referring to RCGM DBT. Then if it is a chemical entity, then we are discussing in new drug advisory committee, that is SEC, subject expert committee friend. Then they will give the recommendation to the DCGI, then we will go for the approval process. So these are all important gazette notification evolved as per the Honorable Supreme Court of India in the year 2013. The amendment GSR 53 dated 30th January 2013 and GSR 12/12/2014. If you can see, this is the important, these are the important components of that amendment. GSR 53 takes care of the medical management in case of any injury, examination of serious adverse events, provisions for payment of compensation. Earlier we don't have that. So this is the important gazette. Now we have covered all important components. Expansion of responsibilities of investigator, sponsor and ethics committee. Amendments in informed consent process. Then 63E gazette covered conditions for conducting of clinical trial, authority for clinical trial inspection. Earlier we are not having, because CDSO person, one GCP expert, then one state regulator who may accompany during the investigation or routine clinical trial inspection. So that is very clear now. Earlier we don't have that. We were having some ambiguity. Now that we have expanded with respect to authority for clinical trial inspection. Actions in case of non-compliances, we can go if it is very serious, suspension, or we can go for the termination of that trial. Then amendments with respect to 72E, 8th February 2013, we have given the important requirements and guidelines for the registration of ethics committee. So this is one of the important slides as far as amendments of clinical trial, that is Schedule Y, is concerned according to the Drug and Cosmetic Act, friends. Then Rule 122 DAB, in case of injury, subject shall be provided free medical management as long as required or till such time it is established that injury is not related to the clinical trial, whichever is earlier. So everybody knows they are all important components. I will not go through that. Then in case of failure to provide medical management or compensation, CT can be suspended or cancelled. Last 2 minutes, sir. Then if you can see the amendment taken with respect to the informed consent document, essential elements have been amended in the important Gazette 53E dated 30th January 2013. So I don't want to go through this, but I will give it to our Gowda sir, and he will give some important inputs. If any questions, you can straight away ask or you can discuss through emails, you can take care. But yes, whatever committees we are having, so we are having different committees and we will refer to the subject expert committee. Now, earlier we are having only 12 subject expert committees. Now we are having more than 25 subject expert committees consisting of 200 people. And then based on the recommendation, we will refer it to technical committee headed by DGHS under the chairmanship of DGHS. We are having some committee member, then they will refer to Apex committee. Apex committee is handled by chairman of the Apex committee chairman is Secretary Health Government of India, and technical committee chairman is chairman of DGHS, and subject expert committee member secretary is DCGI. But we are having different committees where committee members are involved. They can review the applications of different clinical trial applicants. Then based on the recommendation, we will refer it to them. If it is a IND, then we are referring to IND committee headed by Indian Council of Medical Research, DG ICMR is the chairman of that IND committee. If it is a recombinant product, then we are referring to recombinant DNA, that is RCGM, Review Committee for Genetic Manipulation, comes under Department of Biotechnology. So this is the overview of the clinical trial this thing. And thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. And value has value only if its value is valued. And I would like to congratulate the organizing committee for inviting me here. DCJ sir also conveyed his greetings, and we are with you. But yes, we are having some challenges, and definitely we are going to resolve with respect to the involvement of the some of the important committee members. Government of India is very serious. If you can see, since last 3 years now, clinical trial permission might have reduced now, but yes, we are trying to resolve some of the important challenges that we'll discuss as per your, if any questions you are having. Thank you, one and all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very